Hello everyone, good day, it's Happy Jen. Starting over because I just messed my last video up by hitting the button by accident. So we're going to start over, and I hope I didn't miss anything. Just waiting on my wife to get off work, so I decided to make a little video about my hybrid sculpture and the other sculpture that I received from Cynthia Crawford at etsculptures.com. I'm sure you have seen a lot of people, especially star season hybrids, are drawn to these sculptures because they actually contain an essence of the spirit of whomever, I don't have any power right now, of whomever is the sculpture that you're having. So the first one that I got for my anniversary was the Blue Lady, and she obviously is beautiful and amazing and full of peace and full of love, and I shared her photo with you all, and a lot of you experienced the same feeling from her that I experienced. And I knew that she has a connection to the Mary energy, so I had been calling her Mary, but she told me that her name was actually Ma Ray, so that's kind of cool. And then I was asking her if I could heal my wife, and she told me no, but she told me that she could do it. But she also said that my wife would have to ask her for the healing, that I couldn't ask her to heal her. So I told my wife, and I'm pretty sure that she has allowed Amare to heal her, and she is doing wonderful. So thank you very much to everyone that also sent her healing during the time of her hip surgery. She's doing much better. It's going to be a few more months recovery, but we're getting there. And so she tricked me into getting myself another sculpture for our anniversary. She was supposed to get me the Ma Ray, and I got her what I thought she wanted, which was a hybrid child that we both saw in Krista and Ra's video. So she told me she wanted that hybrid kid, and I ordered it for her, but it ended up being a gift for me, she said. So that was really nice of her. But the reason why my hybrid sculpture, if you've seen a photo of her, the reason why she has two different eyeballs is because we have 4 hybrid children that we know of. We just found out about 2 years ago. This is my first time ever really talking about them, because I'm sure you can imagine the reasons. I'm going to try really hard not to get emotional, because it's really hard not to get emotional when you talk about these kids. It is. So I had a period of time a few years back where I was trying to get pregnant, and I am a lesbian, so I did need to use a donor, and that was my first time ever experimenting with any man fluids. So I was sure twice that I was pregnant. 2 times, both times that we tried, I knew for sure that I was pregnant, and it was not just wishful thinking either. I had basically every single symptom of pregnancy that there was, I had. Everything that you could think of. I mean, we don't need to go into all of the details of the symptoms of pregnancy, but I had those. My period was a week late, and everything else that comes along with it. Look them up if you need to know. All of that. I had all of that. And I don't believe it was psychosomatic. I think I held the energy of 3 of my hybrid children inside of me for those 2 times. I think the first time was Malachi, and I think the second time was Uriah and Awen together. So when I wasn't pregnant, because obviously I ended up getting my period eventually the first time, and the second time I ended up in the hospital, was 2 weeks after my period was due, because I was in so much pain, and I was so convinced that I was pregnant, but the tests were still coming up negative, that I wanted a doctor to do a sonogram to prove to me that there was not a baby in there. So He couldn't even do the exam. It was so painful. And obviously the blood work came up negative. I didn't have enough of the hormone to prove that you were growing an actual physical fetus inside of you. I still was very adamant about, I want an ultrasound, check it, make sure there's nothing in there, because I'm not going to believe that I'm not pregnant until you tell me that I'm not pregnant, because that's how convinced I am that it worked. So obviously I was not pregnant, and I was very sad about that, but it's okay, because it just wasn't the right time, or I just couldn't hold the energy of these amazing high frequency children at that time. So the loss of those babies, or not really the loss, but when they left my body and they went back to the other side, that was when I had the dark night of my soul. And that was the lowest, darkest point of my life. And I've had quite a life. But just feeling that much love inside of you, and having that energetic shift in your body, and preparing mentally for something that was taken away from you. You feel like it was taken away from you. You feel like it was a chance that you lost out on, that you never even had your hands on. So, anyhow, that was the only time in my life that I ever went through the dark night of the soul, so I call it. And I really I never had been suicidal before, but in that moment, for that few weeks, honestly, all I could think about is how I just wanted to just be with them, which meant not be here. So here I am, still convinced that I have children, and still convinced that I am not crazy. But it was kind of something that I had to keep to myself, and I couldn't really share with anyone, so, except for my wife. So then 2 years ago, we decided to get a reading from, I think that it was Vanessa Lamorte, actually, because I had started reading about missing pregnancies, and I want to say that was through a Krista video that I was guided to read about the missing pregnancies, and it made perfect sense. I was for sure that was me. Those are missing pregnancies to me. It was a pregnancy. Whether someone tells me it was not, doesn't matter to me. I know it was. I know they were there. I felt them, then they were gone, and I couldn't get that feeling back of being together with them. So, at least I thought that. So, Vanessa confirms we do. Vanessa confirms that we have hybrid children, and she actually knew the days, like the month that I had done this. So that was the confirmation that I needed for her on her own to know the exact months that I was pregnant. That was the confirmation that I was looking for to tell myself. That's how you know that it was real, that you had hybrid children and that they were in your body and that now they're gone. So now I knew I was a hybrid mom, and I still didn't know what to do with that, because, again, so many reasons. The world thinks you're crazy. They think you just want babies so bad that you're making them up. No one believes that you could have half alien babies or whatever it is. It's not exactly half. But so my kids, she said they were extremely humanoid, and this was my first reading with her. She said, I don't know what she said. She'd never seen them so humanoid or something along those lines, but the little boy, he had jade green eyes. He was what I consider the oldest, or the first one, and that's who I call Malachi, because that was the name that I had given my firstborn. The next two, Awen and Uriah, those would have been the twins. She said they had blonde hair and really deep blue eyes, and they looked alike, so that's why we considered them to be twins. And I'll tell you, that confirmation, I broke down from happiness when I found that out. Like, that was the life-changing information that I really needed. It was. And whether it made me feel crazier or it didn't, or it makes me sound crazier or it doesn't, it's really irrelevant. It made me feel a lot better, and that's all that matters. So then I started trying to communicate with them on my own. I figured if someone else can channel them, then I can channel them, and I can try to connect with them in any way that I can. And a few months later, I found out that I had another hybrid, because I did say that I wanted to continue the program. Like, one night I remember putting out the intention, like, if okay, that's fine, I've accepted that they're not going to be able to be with me right in this physical world, but I want to continue with the program, and I want to keep having hybrids if that is for my highest and best interest. So the next time I got a reading, I found out that I had a new hybrid, and I named her Mina, or she told me her name was Mina. And she turned out to be a purple fairy hybrid, which I had never even heard of. She's a purple fairy hybrid, is how Vanessa described her. She was obviously bigger than the regular fairies, and she said that she had never seen a purple-skinned fairy hybrid. So we didn't really know what that mixture was, but I knew that Mina was different than the first three because they were extremely humanoid and they were on the ship. And Mina is actually back in Sirius B. So, now I know I have 4 hybrid children, and I decide I'm going to reach out to them myself. I'm going to talk to them as often as I can. I'm going to find ways to communicate with them. I was guided to the flower therapy cards from Doreen Virtue. Those helped me to communicate with my babes before I started channeling them. So I would just try to connect with them like you do when you do an oracle card pull or a tarot card pull, and I'd pull a flower card, and it represented ways that for my intention, it was ways that I could connect with them. So they each gave me a specific flower that I could connect with them. They also gave me one flower that could represent all 4 of them, which was birds of paradise. And they gave me a symbol that kind of looks like 2 triangles next to each other, and they overlap in the center. So there is like a little triangle in the middle, and then it's the 2 big triangles that come together and make a little triangle in the middle. So that's the symbol that they gave me to specifically, I guess, connect with their frequency. So I've got these readings that come up about these kids. I've got these feelings that come up for myself. I know I'm a medium or a channel or whatever you want to call it, a light worker. I don't know what terms you like to use, but I know that I have these connections, and I'm getting these feelings, and I'm just learning to trust myself. And everyone keeps on affirming this for me without knowing what it is that I want to know. Every time I get a psychic reading, that's all I want to know. I want to know about my hybrid children. That's the only question that I ever have. And I find myself having healings, and they'll come up in the healings, or I'll try to communicate with people that don't really talk to the hybrid kids, and they still come through in various ways, shapes, or forms. So that was really cool. I also wrote a letter to the hybrid baby mamas in, I think it was issue 2 of UFO Girl, Krista's zine. You can get that at her Etsy shop or on her website, I believe. There's a letter in there from me to hybrid mothers, and it basically talks about how hard it is to be without them. So you're not alone if you're going through this. And I don't mean to exclude the men either. I know that it's probably hard for you guys also, but I can only relate for myself, having the feeling of them being with me. And I'm pretty sure that Mina wasn't like energetically in my body because it was so hard for me with the first 2. I don't think I could. I don't think I could hold the energy in my body again without it being able to stay with me. So the hybrid sculpture that my wife tricked me into buying for myself had one eye for Kai and one eye for the other 2 because I didn't know what Mina's eyes looked like. And it came in the mail, and she told me that it was for me, and there was so much love in that box. Like, you could feel it when you arrived at the house. I felt her in the house when I got there. And I was like, oh my God, where's my package at? Where's my package at? I know it's here. And I found it. And when we opened it up, even my wife, who is not psychic, said, there's just so much love pouring out of this box. That's all she could feel was love. So we take it out, and we both fell in love with her immediately. And she asked me, she's like, do you think it's a male energy or a female energy? And we both agreed that we thought it was a male energy at first, but we just got it. We didn't really get a chance to connect with it. And so I want to say that whole day something was making us really like happy, like we danced around the house all day, and I danced around all night, and the next morning I danced around, and then I still hadn't had time to connect with it privately, like to sit down and talk to it or try to meditate or channel or see what had came with it, like who decided to be in there. I just assumed because we picked both eyeballs that all four of them would go in there. So all four of them did not go in there in that same essence. So later that night, my wife says, I'm going to call Cynthia and thank her for this doll or whatever. But before she could call her, Cynthia already emailed her asking her how to go. So then I told her, I'm like, call her. You have to call her. Because Cynthia also said, I want to know what your experience was before I share my experience with you. So now I knew that she had an experience with my hybrid kids. And I could not contain my enthusiasm. So they finally did talk that night. And she would not tell me. It was only for about 10 minutes because Cynthia had to go. But she wouldn't tell me what she found out until I had time to connect with it by myself. So that was very nice of her. She said she didn't want to put anything on it without me having a chance to make my own determination. So I don't know why I was kind of hesitant to sit down with it. I think it was because I knew that I was going to have a hard time, because I had to address the fact that, once again, they're not here. They're there. So sitting down with it and looking at it in its eyes and talking to it like it was a person was definitely something I was putting off for a second. I knew it was going to be lots of tears. So when I sat down with it, of course, the first thing I did was just start pouring out all of my guilt and love. Like, I love you guys so much. I'm so sorry I can't be with you. I miss you so much. And she cut me right off. She told me that I don't have to keep telling them I love them, and that I didn't have much time, that her mom was going to be right back, which was my wife. She went upstairs to take a shower, and she was going to be right back. So we had to talk about me, because this was about me. And she started saying how proud she was of me, and she never said that she was Awen, but she said that all four essences of all four children were inside of the doll, and that she actually said, you can touch me, you can hold me if you want to, because I was outside of it. I kind of put it up on an altar in a way, and that way it would be right in front of me, eye to eye. But for some reason, when I went to stare at the eyes, because they're two different eyes, I couldn't focus on one energy. So I ended up going for the third eye dot, and then she said that we should connect third eye dots. So now I take my forehead and I put it on her, my third eye dot to her third eye dot, and it gets crazy. It starts tapping, like tap, 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 like that fast and that hard into my third eye, which I've heard was blocked recently. So they start telling me they're healing that, so that I'll be able to feel them better and see them more if I want to. She tells me that they all decided to go into this sculpture just so that they could be with me, just so that they could be here, because they couldn't be here right now. And that's so sweet. And of course I wept and wept and wept and wept and covered that entire altar with my tears of happiness. And it was a really beautiful, healing, powerful experience for me. And then my wife comes back. She's standing behind me, and turn around, and she's like, "Okay, are you done yet?" Like, she's used to me being really weird by now. I didn't want to let go of it. I didn't want to stop holding it. I know it's just a statue, but I didn't want to let go of it. So now I know why. When she got out the shower and she came back to tell me, she said that Cynthia wasn't sure about it, so she stuck it on her island in her kitchen, and he started talking to her. She said that the hybrid statues don't usually communicate with her, so that's really cool. Awen, my daughter, She came through that statue and was talking to Cynthia and told Cynthia that she put her whole soul into that statue. Just so that she could be here right now with us, because she's so excited, because she loves us so much, and because she is my daughter from the future. So I did forget to say that part, that when Chastity told me that I had to wait and connect with it first, my intuition was that this statue meant that I was going to have a baby soon, like a physical baby soon. So for her to say that she's my future daughter, she's gonna be born, and there might be another one, there might be a boy too. So this is happy tears, I'm sorry. But that's all I wanted ever my whole entire life, is to be a mother. So as soon as that happens, I feel like I don't have anything else to want in life. Which is why my wife reminds me that it hasn't happened yet. So, my future daughter, Awen, who is also my hybrid, is in that little that statue. And she told Cynthia that she just couldn't wait to hug us. And we're really big huggers, so it made a lot of sense to us. And I think we're going to talk later about her, so I'm hoping that I find out some more stuff. And I kind of just held her like a baby in my arms for most of the night, and I just wanted to be close to her after I found that out. And this morning, as soon as I got home, I started hugging her because of what she said about how she couldn't wait to get here and get a hug. So thank you for letting me share this experience with you guys. I hope that it has helped you in one way or another. If you are a hybrid parent, or you're not sure about whether you're a hybrid parent, and you want to talk to me, or you want to know anything about my experiences, please feel free to message me anytime. You can reach me at my email, which is lipsticklc@yahoo.com. You can also reach me on my Facebook page. It is HappyJen, so it's facebook.com/HappyJen82. You can see all my pinup pictures there, and I try to do some happiness coaching and stuff like that. And or you can also connect me at the Starseeds Reunited group. That's the group that I run, and it's called facebook.com/Universal Family of One. And I'm also in the Hybrids Welcome group, or you can just go ahead and comment below. Alright, so I love you all so much, and I look forward to hearing from you and sharing this amazing time with you.